Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and let me tell you that this story belongs to web novel chapter 205, so without wasting time let's begin the video. Dagruel's army had reached the Holy Kingdom Rubrios and kept on their march through its border. And they mowed down all of the people who blocked their path and aimed at the Holy Capital with great vigor. The Holy Capital was protected by a threefold barrier. It was a barrier which obstructed the accumulation of magic essence to prevent outbreaks of monsters. However, it is naturally not invincible. Just like in the present situation, there may be an outbreak of rare monsters due to the barrier's destruction that might come to invade the city. To prevent this invasion, an anti-monster defense barrier had been installed, which protected the daily lives of the Holy Capital and its surroundings. It was a barrier with a strong magic essence isolation ability, but it only had influence on a certain level of monster and weaker. It didn't affect vampires, its true masters. Its purpose was to protect the citizens of the Holy Capital from field monsters. The Holy Knights usually patrolled between the first and the second barriers. And their work included searching for tears in the barrier and restoring them. It was common knowledge that the Holy Kingdom Rubrios was protected by a twofold barrier, but the existence of the third one was only known by the high-ranking people of the Holy Capital. Even so, it was the strongest barrier, worthy to protect the Holy Capital. The transfer gate was established within the anti-monster invasion prevention barrier and outside the evil purification barrier. The reason was because Ruminas didn't want the subordinates of the other demon lords acting freely within the Holy Capital. The evil purification barrier. It was the protection barrier of the highest level that had protected the sacred Holy Capital for a long time. That was a reasonable argument, because not only it was troublesome to set and register identification codes for individuals, there was no guarantee that they wouldn't be hostile by next time. Therefore, the evil purification barrier was applied to every monster with the only exception being Rumina's subordinates. The effect was applied even to the high-ranking monsters in Xian's entourage. Thus, Xian's elite corps who arrived from the transfer gate organized themselves at the peripheral of the living area without entering the Holy Capital. The battlefield was outside the anti-monster invasion prevention barrier. It was the decision of the conference the night before. The barrier was ineffective against the angel army, or rather, the anti-monster has no meaning against the holy attributed angels. The monster army led by Xian and Co were suitable to oppose Dagruel. The ironic thing is that the immortal legion led by Adalman, which could be considered evil itself, didn't receive the effect due to holy demonic inversion. However, it would be a problem if undead came and went within the Holy Capital like they owned the place, so that's one of the reasons why Aldaman was assigned to the interception forces. Tempest's group will engage Dagruel. Ruminas's group will suppress the angels. That is the plan. Immediately sensing that Dagruel's army had destroyed the large-scale magic essence warding barrier that had stretched around the border, Xian notified the entire army. As preparations were everything, Xian had finished stationing her elite corps. The Immortal Legion which Adalman had summoned stood at the front in perfect order, with 2,000 Death Knights as the main force. The rest of the Legion's composition was as following: 100,000 zombie soldiers, carrion soldiers, 20,000 pawn soldiers, skeleton soldiers, 10,000 pawn archers, skeleton archers, 10,000 pawn knights, skeleton knights. There were such overwhelming numbers. They were an army that had been created by Aldaman by using the corpses gathered from Great Jura Forest. The 100,000 zombie soldiers are the monsters prepared urgently for this war. Most of them were once the soldiers of the Empire. Deployed inside the labyrinth, the ones which had their rotten flesh neatly removed were the pawn soldiers. In preparation for this great war, they had gathered the corpses which had been vacated by their souls. It was quite a large number. As there was a possibility that they might evolve into a higher rank being if they are able to survive this great war, they excitedly decided to participate in the war. Thanks to that, the total number was a little less than 150,000. They became such a dreadful existence, because as undead that had turned into holy attributed beings, they won't be affected by holy magic. And because they couldn't die from normal attacks either, the only way to stop their movement is to completely destroy them. And then, Xian's elite corps. 10,000 Terror Knights. Like the Death Knights, their strength was equivalent to A rank. And after the previous battle with the Empire, they had grown stronger. The true main force this time was Xian's elite corps. The only problem was that the commanders of the elite corps were the sons of the enemy leader, Demon Lord Dagruel. Xian believed that Dagruel's sons would not betray her since they had sworn loyalty to her lord, Rimuru. However, Even without betrayal, whether or not they could fight was another story. Hey you guys. The enemies are your relatives, can you guys fight them? Xian summoned the three and asked them directly. And the three brothers responded as if it were natural, of course, Ni-san. Whether it's our old man, or uncle, we will defeat them. Yeah. We will show our seriousness. Phew phew phew. My stomach is growling. His stomach is growling? For an instant, Xian thought, what is this guy talking about? However she splendidly ignored it. Oh well, since he's fat, it couldn't be helped that it would growl. However, Xian never thought that it would ever manifest in a form of motivation. It will be alright if the people in question are okay. The problem might actually be their uncle. Dagruel has a younger brother. Yes. It seems our old man has two. One of them is our old man's aide, but I've never met the other one. They said that he's a dangerous person, so it seems he had to be sealed because of that, right? Oh well, it will be easy peasy if you entrust the task to us. When the third son Deborah said so, for some reason Xian became uneasy. Oh well, they are her cute subordinates who had become strong enough to equal the former demon lord standard. She decided to believe in them, and she succeeded in pushing away her uneasiness. To such a Xian, however, for such an upright person as Dagruel Dano to turn out to be a traitor. It was something hard to believe. Adelman said so while letting out a sigh. When he was installing the transfer magic formation, Dagruel was quite cooperative, and he got along well with Adelman, who also had an upright character. Therefore, Adelman felt that it was simply too unbelievable. Oh well, it seems he was acquainted with the person who calls himself Velda, so he might have some kind of old ties with him. Xian concluded so. No matter what was said, holding back against him was unnecessary, as he was an enemy. After all, Xian would not forgive that Velda scum who had babbled such nonsense like destroying her dearest master Rimuru, and let me tell you that, in the second day of Great War, Velda who suddenly appeared and claimed that Rimuru was dead, Alderman had a hard time calming Xian down. Rimuru-sama won't perish that easily. He had frantically calmed Xian, the blessing hasn't disappeared. So in the worst case he may have been sealed somewhere was how he tried to convince Xian into calming down. However, sealed you say? Then, I must leave immediately in order to help him. To Xian, who began to say unreasonable things, the enemy's commander is approaching. If it's the person named Dagruel, he might know about the details. He said that, and thus succeeded in turning Xian's anger towards the enemy. Coming back to the topic. Well then, Xian Dano. May I perform the opening strike? He asked. He was worried that if he did as he pleased, afterwards there would be complaints from her. If Xian was the one who opened the battle, he would only be able to support, since it would be impossible for him to use his large-scale attacks as he would hit his allies as well once both army collides. So if possible, he wanted to be the one who opened the battle, however. That was solely up to Xian's decision. Very well, I will permit you to do it. You better rampage to your heart's content. Xian gave permission whilst in high spirits, as the prospect of obtaining equipment was in sight. Xian's cold eyes gazed like a predator who had her prey in sight. When Adelman heard Xian's words, thank you very much. Well then. He bowed to Xian and moved elsewhere. Xian, who saw that, laughed lightly. To the ones who mock the great demon lord Rimuru, die. And if by any chance Rimuru-sama is sealed, I will show that I will rescue him. Those were her thoughts. Her smile encouraged her allies and gave them strength. The battle would begin soon. So guys, this was all for today's video. Stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching.